Welcome back to the channel. Today we start a new build. It's a brand new car. It's a 2022 Acura RDX with a technology package. Now, how new is this thing? Well, it has 826 miles on it. As a matter of fact, this car is so new, it was totaled before it was titled. And the reason it was never titled, it was a courtesy car for a dealership. And they don't title the cars. That way, when they sell them with a few miles down the road, they call them demos, and that's when the warranty starts for the new owner. And well, they didn't title this one till the insurance company paid it off. And guess what? It's got a clear title, so it still has all that warranty. So with a nice light hit in the front end, 800 miles and a clear title, it's kind of a no-brainer to buy this thing. The only problem is, yeah, somebody's been here before. This is exactly how I got it. So I had to price it out as though there's nothing included, although there is a whole bunch of parts in the back of it. So everything that's in there just became a bonus because I priced it as replacing everything. So let's get it down to the shop, go exploring and see what parts we didn't, how much money we can save, and well, even if it runs, because they say it runs, but I haven't tried it yet. And I didn't even charge it up on the way home. I was in a hurry. So let's get it down to the shop and get it off the trailer. So before we go searching through the back to see what's there, let's see what's already still left on the car. I looked, well, in the rearview mirror for quite a while on the way home, at the auction, every time I stop, and I cannot find any damage on this hood at all, other than one little ding right here, probably a hail dent. PDR guy can take care of that. So unless I get it all together and it's bowed and I just can't see it, I think the hood is good. We need a radiator support, a little buckled here. We haven't seen the reinforcement yet, but I'm guessing that it hit something right here, probably in the headlight. That's the airbag sensor right there, which is probably why the airbag's deployed. There's airbag and seatbelts. We got a little bracket up here that's bent. If I can buy it separately, I'll buy it. If I can't buy it separately, I will straighten that, no problem. This front panel here is bent back a little bit at the top where the radiator support mounts on. No problem, you just bend that straight. Don't even have to get into weld anything up there. The whole radiator support bolt on. I don't know why they took the reinforcement apart here. They should have taken it apart up there because you have to take that off to change the radiator support. But new guys. And the lower air box is broken. The upper air box is fine. Our intake is cracked, like they always are. So is our wastegate and our wastegate plug. I did order a wastegate and a wastegate plug before I even picked the thing up because I knew I was going to need it. Still don't know, might buy the whole front end, but now that it doesn't look like I need a hood, it's probably going to be cheapest just to buy parts straight from Acura. I can't see them totaling it, even if they decided to buy a turbo to get the wastegate, even though I know the secret of how to get that wastegate without buying a whole turbo, since we did it on the last one. That looks like it for out here. I don't really see anything scary, better than I thought it was going to be. I don't know why they pulled all the washer lines out. It's like they were going to change the hood, but you wouldn't need to take all that stuff off to blend it. So maybe they're just trying to pad the bill. So our knee bolster airbag went off. We're going to have to replace that. The driver's steering wheel didn't, none of the curtains did. We do have some seat belts to replace. No, at least 3. The rear seats go off too, so we're going to have to change those. That one's not locked up, but it could be off. We'll have to plug the scanner in a little bit to see which circuits are open. We don't have a door panel on the door, but I believe it's in the back. I did price this out as though I didn't get a door panel because I could see in the pictures it wasn't there. Wasn't guaranteed I was getting it. Don't know about the mirror just yet, actually. Yeah, I do. It's right here. They did also price out a mirror. See anything wrong with it? They just took it off so they could blend that door. Oh. Well, apparently we struck gold today. We got one of our $1 million headlights. Looks like all the tabs are good. Looks like we got a good headlight. There's another 1,500 bucks off the price. Well, not off the price, but in my pocket. Actually, it's about 800 bucks. Because I'll find a used one. Lots of stuff. Here's our door panel. A little dirty. Somebody did have to clean that. Condenser. Slightly warped. Goes like this. Which makes sense with the story I've come up with so far. Wish I got to see what it looked like before they took it apart. Our reinforcement. Don't see any damage on it. It looks like we got a good reinforcement. Just a bracket for it. Bracket's got a little bend to it. Here's our bumper. Missing a chunk. Lower grill. Don't see any damage. Good liner. Fender. No damage on the back. No damage on the front from where the headlight tore it up. And on the front edge here. And a couple dents from sitting around. We'll probably just get a new one. They're really cheap new. Door molding, lower door molding, lower bumper valance. Part of a grill. This is that 5-piece grill. I happen to know a guy that's got a chrome surround, so if we have to piece it together, I have that and one vent. And that's all we got. We didn't get that $1 million emblem in the front. Shucks. And there's our cooling fan for the passenger side. Got to remember to order this so I don't have to straighten it this time. Looks like we'll need everything. Motor, shroud, blade, heat shield. We need the works for this side. Ooh. All the stuff in the hood. Washer nozzles, hood insulation clips, overflow bottle, front bumper. Alright, we got parking sensors. We have all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, we got all of our parking sensors and a whole lot of screws. That's gonna be fun. Right front door. Look at these guys. They're fancy label makers. Door handles in there. Alright, we're all good there. This is the driver's side cooling fan. And I don't see any damage at all. We got a good fan, shroud, and motor. We don't have to order anything for this side. Vent, I believe, for the brakes that goes on the bumper. A little damage on this one. That's probably the right side. There's our bracket for our radar. Now I hope the radar's in here. That thing's expensive. Hood latch. It's bent. We'll get a new one. Not something we want to leave the chance. Vent for our bumper. The top piece of the radiator support. One of our baffles. This looks probably the right side. Another piece for our bumper. And our intercooler. There's a little damage on it. Maybe just get a new one. Close-out panel that goes on the bottom. It helps to have done this before, so I know what I'm looking at. Center support. There's our upper door trim. Wiring harness for the bumper. And we got a broken plug. Heat shield. And the rest of the bracket for our radar. Still no radar. Bumper trim. There's the left side. Shroud. Baffle. Some fur in here. Maybe they hit another animal. Maybe RDXs like animals. Horn. We fixed it on the last one, but Doesn't look like we're gonna fix it on this one. Just broke the tab off this one. Got floor liners, right fender, headlight, radiator bolts, front bumper reinforcement, baffle. These floor liners out of here. I got a floor all along. Half a horn. The other half of the horn. Come on, radar unit. This is everything for the radiator support. Rubber baby buggy bumpers, radiator brackets, molding for the bottom of the fender. Should be 2 of these. AC line. Part of the grill. It's got some screws in it, so we'll hang on to that. Washer reservoir. Don't see any damage on it. Not sure why they took it out. Upper bumper support. Definitely crunched. All this stuff is dirty and muddy because they took it out at the auction and laid it on the ground. They took pictures of it. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be getting it, so I didn't figure on getting it. Because sometimes it doesn't make it back in the car. And I don't want to count on getting these parts, bid accordingly, and then not get err on the side of caution. Alright, one last place. Maybe. Oh, more floor mats. And a front license plate bracket. Well, I think it's safe to say, oh, there's the other little baffles. Engine, 2 chips. Yeah, I think it's safe to say we did not get our radar unit. Bummer, these things aren't cheap. Now I gotta buy one. Sad face. So now that we have our piles, let's start writing our checklist of stuff we're gonna need. Don't have the headlight, don't have the emblem, don't have the radar unit. The headlight I guarantee was no good. Emblem might have been, radar unit probably. Oh well. Rear seat belts are locked up. Quite a tune on them. Chrome molding for our door. We're a little brutal taking the thing off. There's a bunch of scratches on the door, so we're gonna have to paint that. All the dirt in here. Nobody's gonna be coming in. I looked in all the door pockets. I looked under the seats. Checked the console. I won't tell you what I found in there yet. Glove box, but I cannot find that radar unit, so it's a lost cause. We're gonna have to buy one. The body shop that took it apart is probably selling that and the emblem for the front on eBay. We need to get this bolster out of the way. You can see that it's stepping on it. Try to get to the pedals. Kind of dangerous, so I find a nice dull razor blade, the kind I ever use. Guaranteed to only cut fingers, nothing else. See our pedals. Suppose I could throw my liner in there. This fancy thing. Woohoo. Nice. We have all the dash emojis.
So now that we're done exploring the back of the car for all of our parts, we're going to take the rest of this apart so that we know what else we're going to need. We can put our list together. I included going through the back of the car and seeing what was in there. I have to do that on every build, and I don't normally include it because it's kind of boring. But in this case, it actually saved me quite a bit of money. There was about $3,000 worth of parts I would have had to buy if they weren't in the back of the car. There would have been $4,000 if they would have had that radar unit and the emblem for the center of the grill. But I didn't get those, so gonna have to buy them. Planned on it anyway, not a big deal. So we took off the rest of our reinforcement, and we're gonna unbolt our radiator support. Just move it around a little bit, see if we forgot any fasteners. We'll head over to the other side, unbolt this side of the radiator support. It does hang on those hooks, that's what it sits up there on. And of course we forgot the airbag sensors. Still haven't learned these are on there. because they run to a separate harness. So we'll just unbolt them and then pop the wiring harness out of its little clips. There's one on each side. And we can take our radiator support out of here. And with that out of the way, we can straighten this little bracket that it mounts to. It's just pushed in at the top a little bit. A couple little taps with Big Bertha and it's straightened out. We're just going to use a chisel to straighten the rest of this little tab out. Just pushed in a little bit. We're going to hammer it flat. Slowly but surely we're going to hammer it flat. Clean all the paint off of there. We're going to bend our tab back over. This is what holds that radiator support in. And now we need to straighten that upper bracket. It does not come separate. We have to buy the whole rail to get it. So we'll just straighten it out. I'm going to bolt the chain right to where the radiator support mounts. We're going to use a new tool. Well, it's not exactly a new tool. It's a pretty old tool and broken, like every other tool in the shop. It's a pulling stick. I believe the brand name is a Hustler stick. It's available in my Amazon store if you want to pick one up for yourself. Take the slack out of the chain, put it up against something solid. You basically use it like a big lever and turn Scott into a frame rack. There's supposed to be a rubber pad on the bottom of it that would go up against our little radiator support mount down there to, you know, keep it from slipping off and whacking me in the head. But, well, that would be the safe way in. We don't do things the safe way around here. Besides, I'm sure there's some people that want to see that thing slide off there and whack me in the head. So we're going to keep a little tension on our stick. Now we're going to use our chisel to just kind of pry the kinks out of our little bracket. Get it straightened out. So we got most of the buckle out of there. We're going to bolt our chain. I just used the original bolt from the radiator support. I need to go search for one. And now we're going to fine tune it a little bit, straighten it out. There's also a mounting point for the fender on the side. That bracket's folded in a little bit, so we're going to unfold it and get it back to where it belongs so our fender will fit. Kind of using the chisel like a dolly. We're all good. It's pretty straight. So we'll give it to the painting gnome. You can clean all that flaked paint off of there and paint it all up for us. I ordered the pigtail for our wastegate solenoid because I knew that I was going to need to replace it because I could see from the pictures it was damaged. So we're going to change that now because we have it. We need to get our old pins out of here. I'm going to try and save our pins. The plastic is kind of smashed and we don't care about the plastic, so we'll just cut it out of there. And we're going to straighten out all of our pins. Trying to avoid having to use heat shrink connectors because I know how much the internet doesn't like shrink connectors. And even though the shrink connectors don't bother me, if you can keep the wires complete with no splices, that's always better. So I straightened all the pins out. Now we're just going to put them back in our little plastic connector. Put the safety in and we're done.
So I'll save you guys the gist of what I just did. Our scanner's not updated enough to 22, so it won't give me any data for the airbags. However, if I lie to it and say it's 21, it gives me data, but it doesn't give me any codes. So we can go through here and we can figure out from the data what deployed and what didn't. Start at the top. Left front, airbag, seatbelt. So we got a on there. Of course, those are multiple things, so it really doesn't do us a whole lot of good. Another multiple. Driver's airbag deployed. No. No. Seatbelt tensioner, which we knew. It's locked up. Okay. Passenger seatbelt tensioner deployed is off, so that means it's not locked up and it's never been deployed. So that one's good. So everything that's locked up is what's bad. So we're going to have to pull the module out of here because I can't clear it. And then we're going to have to pull 3 of the 4 seatbelts out, and we'll send them out to My Airbags and have them fix all that up for us, and we can throw it back together. And of course, we're going to have to change our knee bolster airbag up there. And that's one right there. Passenger knee is fine. All right, well, process of elimination, we were able to figure out what we need. So let's get that stuff out of there.
We'll start with the driver's seat belt because I'm lazy and don't want to walk around, and I was already here. Just unbolt the base of it. I'm going to try and sneak it out that little slot, but ended up just taking the cover off anyway. I should have done it the right way to begin with. Tuck our seatbelt in the back seat. We'll pull our sill plate up in the back and take it all the way out. And put our little clip back in here so it's ready to go back in later. We'll pull the sill plate up in the front. And then we can pull our lower B-pillar trim off. Those sill plates clip into the end of it. We can unplug our tensioner, unbolt it, and we'll loosen up the upper B-pillar trim. Sneak our impact in there so we can unbolt it, and we'll fish the seatbelt out of there. I don't want to take this trim all the way off because I thought there was one of those evil Honda clips at the top that don't like to unclip and never like to clip back in, but I was wrong because it ended up falling off anyway. So now we're onto the back seat belts. Just pull out on these little white tabs and it releases the front of the seat. And lift up. Now because it's a Honda, of course they have to have one more bracket underneath the rest of the seat that holds the base in. So we have to pull the cargo cover out, and there's a little trap door. Fold the back of the seat down and we can get to that little bolt that's down there in Narnia. And I'm probably going to drop and lose. There we got it. I'll lose something else. Now we can pull our seat bottom out of here. Push our seat belts through. That little metal bracket sticking off the back is what the bolt was through. Pretty typical of most Hondas. Unbolt the bottom of our seat belt on the passenger side. A little fuel pump access door on each side. We'll fold our seat back down, pull the door gasket out, push our quarter trim away, pull a little cover off behind the release handle for the seat back, 2 screws back there, pull the rest of our quarter trim out, and a little trap door. That's the access for the manual release for the gas door. We'll pull the upper trim off. I'm pretty sure those have one of those evil clips, so I'm not trying to take that one off. So we're going to put our quarter trim spacing tool, the 2x4x6 model, stuff it in there just to push that trim out a little bit so we got some room to work. It beats taking all that trim off of there. There's still a lot more bolts that are supposed to come out. And then bolt the 2 bolts in the base of our seatbelt. Unplug it. And now we just need to pull the bolt out of the top. We're going to use the ratcheting wrench because that's all we really have space for. And we're going to break it free. I believe Honda blew their entire Loctite budget on the bolts for the upper mounts on these seat belts. They do not want to come out of there. Get quite a workout taking those out. And of course, they also happen to be about 6 inches long, unnecessarily. Now we're over to the passenger side. Let's take this one off. Pull our little cover out with the 2 screws behind it so we can pull our lower trim away. And we'll clean all the gooey fun stuff that we tracked all over the place. That rear gasket has some on it, and now it's everywhere. Just a little wax and grease remover dissolves it. Of course, it ends up on the light colored part. Pull the trim away in the front. Pull the upper trim away. Stick our little spacing block in there. And you can kind of see what I have to work with. Unplug our seatbelt and then unbolt it. Probably would have made more sense to use a shallow socket, but, well, I'm not always the smartest guy. Our favorite bolt up on the top. Probably do pull-ups on this one. I ate my Wheaties this morning. How much Loctite do we need on these? Yes. All of it. Fish our seatbelt out of here. We'll pull our block out of here and tuck our quarter trim up there so it doesn't lose its shape. Now we need to get our airbag module out of here. So we're going to pull the side cover off for the dash. Since we're here, we're also going to pull down the knee bolster, and then we can get to that airbag when we want to change that. A couple screws in there. A wiggle and pull. Vent out. And a little more wiggle and pull. There's a sensor on the inside for the ambient temperature. And then there's a couple plugs over here for all the buttons. We'll unplug all those. And we'll set that off to the side. And we can pull our side cover for our console out of there. And that allows us to see our airbag module. There's one bolt on this side. Pull that out of there. And we'll head over to the other side. Pull the side of the console down. And this side has two bolts. Try not to drop the bolt down in Narnia. So far, so good. Uh-oh. Search and rescue mission. Now we can unplug our airbag module.
It's hard to see what I was doing in there. So I pushed this tab in, which you can see from outside here. Push that in, and at the same time pull up on this. This is just the lock to hold this tab in, and then when you pull this up, it rotates this locking mechanism down here, and the plug will actually walk its way out. When you put it back together, you just push it on, press that down, and it'll lock itself in.
Now, since we are halfway here, we might as well just pull our knee bolster airbag out of here. There's a couple bolts in the bottom of the dash that we pull out. We can unbolt the airbag itself. Pull the screws out of there. We have to pull the bottom of the dash out a little bit. We have to lift up and pull back. There's little tabs that clip in on the top of that airbag that hold it in place. And it'll drop down. Clip the little air tube to it, so we unclip that and then unplug it. And those are those little tabs I was talking about. It just allows it to hang so you can put the bolts in there. But it is sandwiched between the plastic dashboard and the metal reinforcement. We're going to pop this clip out of here because I'm not sure if we're going to get it with our new airbag. Now, under intense supervision, we can package up our seatbelts, get them all ready to send over to my airbags. Don't know that I need that much bubble wrap for seatbelts, but, well, I am shipping at FedEx, so if anybody can break it, they can. Package up our module.
Good. Good.
Supervisor says it's ready to go.
Put your hair in there for my airbag.
Order our seatbelt repair. Maybe someday I'll get to click the NSX box. These are just single stage, circuit open, locked, seatbelt not retracting. We don't want to change the color, So we can go ahead and order it. We can change the quantity later. And we can also add a module reset at the end. There we go. So we need 3. So we'll print out our shipping label, we'll stick it on the box we just packed up, and send it out. Drop it off at FedEx.
I wrote up my long list of parts, so now I'm gonna get them ordered, and with my recent experience, I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be the cheapest to get all OEM parts, with the exception of that upper bumper support, if things are still the way they were. So we're gonna send out our seat belts to My Airbags, send out our module, have all that programmed while we're waiting for our parts, and hopefully, next time I see you guys, I'll have some parts. We can throw this thing back together. Should be a pretty quick job. Took me way longer to get it here than it's going to take me to fix it. So much to the dismay of a lot of curious viewers and cats on this channel, I don't share the prices I pay for vehicles or how much I have invested in them. But I might be willing to make you guys a deal because I got an awesome deal on this thing. So here's the deal. If the views on this video get to 500,000 before I'm done with this build, I'll let you know how much I paid for it. If the views on this video get to 1 million before I'm done with this build, I will let you know how much it cost me to rebuild it. So how much I have totally invested. And of course you're gonna know how much I'm selling it for because it's up on my website. So the ball's in your court. If you want some numbers, get to work, start sharing the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you maybe with some numbers. When they sell it with a few miles on it, it'll be called a nice catch.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.